I chose to discuss the issue of illegal immigration and the issue of deportation and illegal immigrants' fear of being deported now that Donald Trump has been elected president. I found my article from the Daily Beast, which is based in New York with more than 20 million readers per month, and I included this because I had never heard of this news source, but they seem to be rather popular and credited. The editor-in-chief is John Avlon, and the chief digital officer is Mike Dyer. And the article that I read was Churches Prepare to Shelter Immigrants from Trump by Betsy Woodruff. And the main issue that Woodruff was discussing in this article was the fact that many illegal immigrants are now afraid of deportation due to the fact that Trump desires to deport illegal immigrants and build a wall on the southern border. And according to Trump's website, anyone who illegally crosses the border will be detained until they are removed out of our country. And Donald Trump specifically said, quoted on his website, that he wants to move criminal aliens out. And this is obviously causing fear among illegal immigrants due to the fact that there are many families here who have immigrated for various reasons, but Donald Trump is desiring to deport them due to the fact that he's wanting to open up more jobs in America and only allow legal immigrants into the United States in order to, in his mind, create a better America. For the price of resettling one refugee in the United States, 12 could be resettled in a safe zone in their home region. So Donald Trump is claiming that he hopes to resettle them in their own countries, and this is supposedly more financially responsible for everyone involved, according to Donald Trump. For those here today illegally who are seeking legal status, they will have one route and only one route: to return home and apply for re-entry under the rules of the new legal immigration system that I have outlined above. And this was in a speech that Trump gave. Those who have left to seek entry under this new system will not be awarded surplus visas, but will have to enter under the immigration caps or limits that will be established. So basically, Trump has outlined what is going to happen, according to his website, day one of his presidency. So obviously this is causing fear in many people's minds and communities, specifically among churches, mostly Hispanic churches. And according to Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, who heads the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, churches will be disappearing due to the fact that many of his congregations, or the congregations that he knows of, are either immigrants or illegal immigrants, or people who are in that community and know immigrants or illegal immigrants. It isn't clear how many people Trump will deport and whether he will direct Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to target people who haven't committed serious crimes. We just don't know. So churches that minister to people without papers will spend this Christmas season hoping for the best and preparing for the worst, which is something that Woodruff said in her article found on the Daily Beast, as I mentioned before. Some churches in Los Angeles are considering hosting undocumented immigrants facing deportation on the assumption that ICE agents won't enter churches to track them down. In the 1980s, many Christian churches protected Central American refugees from deportation as part of what was called the sanctuary movement. That movement still exists, and will likely be reinvigorated if Trump substantially increases deportations. And this, I found, had to do with one of the social work values, including service. And so many people's view of helping and aiding illegal immigrants is the idea that they are serving this people group in a way that not everyone necessarily is. Allison Harrington, the pastor of Southside Presbyterian Church, is involved with the movement and said that in recent years her church has housed 2 people to keep them from being deported, one for 28 days and another for 461 days. She says she knows of 16 people total who have hidden from immigration agents in churches since 2014. Her church helped launch the sanctuary movement when it first started back in the 80s and now works with churches prepared to shelter immigrants. And so the main reasoning behind this mindset of the sanctuary movement and aiding illegal immigrants is the fact that each person has worth and dignity, which is another one of the social work values. But these words were actually used in this article as well, which I found interesting, due to the fact that this is the main reason why social workers seek to help and aid others, is the fact that they view them as dignified and worthy of having, basic human rights, and having someone to care for them. But this is the main motivation behind these churches helping and hiding illegal immigrants. So basically, there are several different questions that can be raised due to this issue. How should the church respond? What is biblical? Which is more important from a Christian's point of view, to follow the law or to protect illegal immigrants? Because if people choose to hide illegal immigrants, it could be in the name of following God and their Christian duty, but it could also be said that they are breaking the law, which is something that we are called to abide by as Christians. So this is a very messy issue. The pros and cons of allowing Syrian and Iraqi refugees in the United States, written in 2015, states that of the 2,000 or so Syrian refugees who have been admitted to the United States, the overwhelming majority are children and widows who have been victims of torture, who have seen their husbands beheaded. Zoe Lofgren, a U.S. representative, a California Democrat, stated in this article. And this is something that I found interesting, because what the Bible teaches so clearly is that Christians are to care for orphans and widows, as mentioned in James 1:27, which states, "Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world." So this is a difficult concept, because another question that can be raised is supporting illegal deportation, helping widows and orphans. What is really the most beneficial for illegal immigrants? And so the question is raised, would it be more beneficial for illegal immigrants to remain in America illegally, or would it be better for them to be deported and then earn re-entry due to becoming a legal immigrant? The Helping Professionals Guide to Ethics, A New Perspective by Valerie, Bryan, Scott Sanders, and Laura Kaplan discusses a lot about making ethical decisions through your values and morals, and how to go about doing that, when to use your morals and values as a basis for ethical decision making, and when to abide by certain laws. And I think this is an interesting concept, because this issue of illegal immigration and helping those at risk of being deported is not a black and white issue, and many people and many Christians have differing views, which I think was made very clear in this election in the recent months. But it's not a black and white issue, and it's not something that everyone agrees upon. And so another question that can be raised is, as a social worker, are you prepared to serve those who might deal with the issue of deportation in the next few years? And how would you guide illegal immigrants living in fear of deportation as a social worker? Because this is something that could easily be in the workplace, whether it be a client or even just people that you might encounter in your church or in your community. And how, as a Christian, would you aid people in either your church wanting to help and hide illegal immigrants, or even just support them? But then, as a social worker, how would you best counsel and aid illegal immigrants in this very, very difficult situation that they are faced with, that a lot of us can't even begin to relate to? So these are some questions that I have to ask myself, and we all need to really be thinking about before the issue arises, because we're going to be in contact with this issue in different ways. It just depends on how. So I would encourage you to be thinking of these questions in regards to how you would respond and what the biblical response would be, as I think about these things for myself as well.